The lights on the Galactic Coalition warship, Eternal Dawn, had dimmed to night cycle. Most of the crew was asleep in their quarters. Yuna walked through the quiet corridors with her toolkit in one of her 4 hands. Her insectoid features reflected in the dark windows as she passed. She was tired. The maintenance shift was almost over. She stopped at door 347B. Her tablet showed a faulty environmental control panel. Simple fix. She had done hundreds of these. Yuna pressed her security code into the door pad. The system beeped. Access granted. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Heat hit her like a wall. Yuna stepped inside and immediately felt wrong. The air was thick and heavy, too much oxygen. The gravity felt stronger, pulling at her thin limbs. Sweat formed on her carapace. This was not normal. This was not a standard crew quarter. Then she heard it. Music. Loud, aggressive human music with heavy drums and shouting vocals. And something else. A rhythmic clanking sound. Metal hitting metal. Yuna's 4 eyes widened in horror. Wrong room. This was the wrong room. She tried to back toward the door, but her legs felt weak. The gravity was set too high. The heat made her dizzy. She grabbed the wall for support. That is when she saw him. A human male stood in the center of the room. He wore only short pants, his upper body bare and covered in sweat. In his hands, he held a metal bar with massive weights on each end. He was lifting it up and down, his muscles flexing with each movement. The weights looked impossibly heavy. Each one had numbers on it. 200 pounds, the marking said. That would crush most species. But he was lifting it like it was nothing, like it was easy. Yuna made a small sound of fear. She could not help it. The human's head snapped toward her. His dark eyes locked onto hers. He was breathing hard from his exercise, his chest rising and falling rapidly. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then he smiled. He actually smiled. He set down the weights carefully and reached for a small device on his desk. He pressed a button. The aggressive music stopped. The sudden silence was almost as shocking as the noise had been. "Hey," he said in Universal Standard Language. His voice was deep but calm. "You okay?" Yuna tried to speak. Her translator chirped, but no words came out. She was still pressed against the wall. The environmental conditions in this room were deadly. How was he not dying? How was he comfortable? The human frowned, not angry, concerned. He looked at her more carefully, his eyes moving over her body, reading her distress. "The environment," he said quickly. He grabbed a towel and wiped his face, then moved to the control panel on his wall. "Hold on. Let me fix it." His fingers moved over the controls with practiced speed. Within seconds, Yuna felt the change. The temperature dropped. The oxygen levels adjusted. The gravity decreased slightly, not to standard levels, but better, breathable. She gasped and gulped in air. Her legs stopped shaking. "Better?" the human asked. He kept his distance, not approaching her, giving her space. Yuna nodded slowly. Her translator finally found words. I am sorry. Wrong door. System glitch. I thought this was 347B. This is 347D, the human said. He grabbed a shirt from his bed and pulled it on, covering himself, making himself less threatening. Easy mistake. The layout in this section is confusing. He was being kind. Why was he being kind? Everything Yuna had heard about humans said they were dangerous, aggressive, from a death world called Earth where everything tried to kill you, where the gravity was crushing and the animals were predators and the weather could destroy cities. She had just seen him lifting weights that would break her bones, in heat that should have killed him, in gravity that should have crushed him, while listening to music about violence and war. But his voice was gentle. His smile was warm. He had immediately helped her when he saw she was in distress. "I am Corporal Tae Kim," the human said. He did not offer his hand. He must have known that humans shaking hands was too aggressive for most species. I am with Earth's integration forces. You are one of the technicians, right? I have seen you in the corridors. Yuna, she managed to say. Maintenance technician, Velocian. Nice to meet you, Yuna. Tay moved to his small food storage unit. He pulled out a container and opened it. You want some water? You look like you need it. Human water? Yuna asked nervously. Tay laughed. It was a nice sound, not mocking, just amused. It is universal standard water, same stuff everyone drinks. I promise it will not hurt you. He poured water into a cup and set it on his desk. Then he backed away, letting her come to it on her own terms. Not forcing, not pushing. Yuna's training told her to leave, to apologize again and exit quickly. But something made her stay. Curiosity, maybe, or confusion. This human was not what she expected. She moved slowly to the desk and picked up the cup. The water was cold and clean. She drank it carefully. It helped. Her body was cooling down, returning to normal. Your room? She said, looking around. Why is it like this? So hot and heavy? Tay sat on his bed, careful to move slowly. Training conditions, he explained. I set the gravity higher than Earth standard, 1.2 G, and I like it warm. Most of the ship is too cold for me, too light, makes me feel weak if I do not practice in proper conditions. But this is not proper, Yuna said. This is dangerous. For you, yes, Tay agreed. For me? This is just a little harder than home. Earth is 1G, warm climate where I am from. This helps me stay strong. Yuna looked at the weights again, at the training equipment scattered around the room, at the thick mat on the floor for exercises. This human lived in conditions that would kill her, and he called it training. You are afraid of me, Tay said quietly. It was not a question. It was a statement, an observation. Yuna wanted to deny it, but she could not. Everyone says humans are dangerous. We can be, Tay admitted. He did not try to lie. We are soldiers. We are from a tough world. But dangerous and cruel are not the same thing. I would never hurt someone who was not trying to hurt others. He stood up and moved to the door panel. He pressed the button, and the door opened, giving her an exit, showing her she was free to leave. You can go, he said. Your shift is probably ending soon. And I am sorry I scared you. That was not my intention. Yuna walked toward the door slowly. She paused at the threshold and looked back at him. This human soldier who lived in a survival chamber but spoke with kindness, who could crush her with his hands but instead gave her water and adjusted his room to help her breathe. Thank you, she said, for helping me. Tay smiled again. Anytime, Yuna. If you need anything, you know where to find me, and next time I promise to turn down the music. Yuna left the room. The door closed behind her. She stood in the cool, light corridor for a long moment. Her hearts were beating fast, not from fear anymore, from something else, something she could not quite name. She looked down at her tablet. The maintenance request was still showing. Door 347B. She needed to finish her work. But her mind was not on the faulty panel anymore. It was on the human soldier and his impossible room, on the contradiction of deadly environment and gentle words, on the mystery of a species that everyone feared but this one individual who showed her kindness. Yuna walked toward the correct door, but she knew something had changed. A door had opened in her mind. A question that needed answering. What else did she not know about humans? What else had she gotten wrong? Yuna could not stop thinking about the human soldier. 3 days had passed since she accidentally entered Ty's quarters. 3 days of trying to focus on her work while her mind wandered back to that strange encounter. She found herself looking for him in the corridors, watching when the human soldiers passed through the common areas. Finally, she gave in to her curiosity. The ship's database was available to all crew members. Yuna sat in the quiet technician bay during her break and opened the files about Earth and humans. What she found terrified her. Humans came from a Class 12 death world. Only 3 other species in the entire Galactic Coalition came from worlds that dangerous. Earth had extreme weather, hurricanes that could destroy buildings, earthquakes that split the ground, volcanoes that buried cities in fire and ash. The planet was covered in predators, on land, in water, even in the air, creatures with claws and fangs and venom. And humans had survived by becoming better predators, by hunting the hunters. Human biology was designed for survival. They healed from injuries that would kill most species. Broken bones mended in weeks, not months. Cuts and wounds closed themselves. They could lose large amounts of blood and continue fighting. They needed very little sleep. 4 to 6 hours per night cycle. Some human soldiers trained to function on even less. Most Velosians needed 10 hours minimum, and the food. Yuna read about human food with growing horror. They ate plants that contained toxins. Capsaicin, the file called it. A chemical that caused pain, and humans ate it for pleasure, for fun. They called it spicy and competed to eat more of it. "You look disturbed, friend," a voice said behind her. Yuna jumped and turned. Her friend Hana stood there, her feathers ruffled with concern. Hana was a Lyrian, bird-like and graceful. They had worked together for 2 cycles now. "I am researching," Yuna said, closing the file quickly. "Researching what?" Hana tilted her head, her large eyes curious. Then she saw the screen before Yuna could clear it completely. "Humans? Why are you looking up humans?" Yuna's carapace flushed a darker color. Embarrassment. "I met one. By accident. I was curious." Hana's feathers flattened against her body. Fear response. "Yuna, no, stay away from them." "Why? He was kind to me." "They are dangerous," Hana insisted. She sat down next to Yuna, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I have heard stories. The human soldiers are trained killers. They can crush bones with their hands. They do not feel pain like we do. And they are aggressive, Yuna. So aggressive. It is in their nature." "But he helped me," Yuna protested weakly. "Maybe this time," Hana said. "But you cannot trust a predator species. They are unpredictable. Please, Yuna, keep your distance." Yuna wanted to argue. But she had no defense. Everything Hana said matched what Yuna had read in the database. The facts supported the fear. So why did she remember Ty's gentle smile, his careful movements, the way he gave her space and opened the door so she could leave freely? For the next 2 days, Yuna tried to follow Hana's advice. She avoided the areas where human soldiers gathered. She took different routes through the ship. But despite her efforts, she found herself watching them from afar. She saw Tay in the mess hall once. He sat with 2 other human soldiers, laughing at something one of them said. They looked so normal, so relaxed. Not like killing machines, just like people enjoying a meal. On the 5th day after their meeting, Tay noticed her. Yuna was in the mess hall during mid-cycle meal. She sat alone in her preferred corner, eating the nutrient paste that Velosians needed. She was watching the human table again, not staring, just glancing occasionally. Tay looked up from his meal. His eyes met hers across the room. He smiled and raised his hand in a small wave. Yuna's hearts raced. She looked down at her food quickly. What should she do? Pretend she had not seen? Wave back? Leave? Before she could decide, she heard footsteps approaching. Heavy footsteps. Human weight in human gravity boots. "Hey, Yuna," Tay's voice said. "Mind if I sit?" She looked up. He stood there holding his tray, that same warm smile on his face. Up close, she could see he was tall. Very tall. Most humans were larger than Velosians, but Ty seemed especially big. Yes. "You can sit," Yuna said. Her translator made her words sound calmer than she felt. Tay sat down across from her. He set his tray on the table. The smell of his food reached Yuna immediately. Strong, complex. Her antennae twitched at the unfamiliar sense. "I wanted to say hi," Tay said. "I have seen you a few times since our first meeting, but you always seem to be rushing somewhere. Busy with work?" "Yes, much maintenance," Yuna lied. Well, half lied. There was always maintenance, but that was not why she had been avoiding him. Tay nodded. He picked up a utensil and gestured at his food. "I hope this does not smell bad to you. Human food can be strong." "It is." "Different," Yuna said carefully. She looked at his plate. There was meat, actual animal meat, and vegetables covered in some kind of sauce, and something that looked like bread. "What is it?" "Korean-style beef," Tay said with obvious pleasure. "My mother's recipe. Well, my attempt at my mother's recipe. The ship's food printer does an okay job, and these are called vegetables, carrots, peppers, onions, and this is rice, a grain from Earth." "You eat many different things together," Yuna observed. "Humans like variety," Tay agreed. He took a bite and chewed. "Food is important in human culture, especially Korean culture. Meals are for family and friends, for connection." Yuna thought about her own nutrient paste. It had all the calories and vitamins her body needed, but it tasted the same every day, gray and bland, functional. "Your species eats toxins," Yuna said suddenly. The words came out before she could stop them. Tay paused mid-bite. He looked at her with surprise. Then he laughed. "You have been researching us." Yuna's carapace flushed dark again. "I was curious. After I saw your quarters, I wanted to understand." "And what did you learn?" Tay asked. His voice was still friendly, but something else entered his expression. Something sad. "That humans are apex predators from a death world," Yuna said quietly. "That you are dangerous." The words hung in the air between them. Yuna immediately regretted saying them. It was rude, insulting. But it was also true, was it not? Tay set down his utensil. The smile faded from his face. For a moment, Yuna saw something in his eyes. Pain. Not physical pain, emotional pain. "We are soldiers, yes," Tay said slowly. "And Earth is a tough world. We evolved to survive difficult conditions. But Yuna, we are people first. We feel, we love, we laugh, we cry. We are not just our biology." "But the things I read," Yuna started. "Are facts," Tay interrupted gently. "True facts. We can survive injuries that kill others. We can go without sleep. We can eat things that are toxic to other species. All of that is real. But it does not mean we are monsters." He leaned back in his chair. The sadness in his eyes grew stronger. "Do you know why I am here? On this ship? In this coalition?" Yuna shook her head. "Because I believe in protecting people," Tay said. "All people, not just humans. When I was young, I watched news reports about colony worlds being attacked by pirates. I saw families torn apart, children left alone, and I decided I wanted to stop that. I wanted to use my strength to protect those who could not protect themselves." He picked up a small container from his tray. He opened it carefully. Inside were sliced fruits, bright red and orange. "These are strawberries and mandarin oranges," Tay said. He picked up a strawberry and held it out to her. "They are sweet, not toxic. Would you like to try?" Yuna stared at the small red fruit. It was a peace offering. She knew that. A gesture of friendship. Slowly, she reached out with one of her hands. She took the strawberry from him, careful not to touch his skin. It was soft and cool. She brought it to her mouth and took a tiny bite. Sweet juice flooded her taste sensors. It was good. Really good. Nothing like her nutrient paste. "You like it?" Tay asked, smiling again. Yes, Yuna admitted. It is very good. Not all things from Earth are dangerous, Tay said softly, and not all humans are what you fear. They sat in silence for a moment. Yuna finished the strawberry. Tay ate his spicy meat and rice. Around them, the mess hall continued its normal rhythm. Dozens of species eating together, talking, living. I am sorry, Yuna finally said, for what I said about predators. It is okay, Tay replied. I understand. We have a reputation, some of it earned. But I hope you will judge me by my actions, not by your fears. Can you do that? Yuna looked at him, really looked at him, past the size and the strength and the death world biology. She saw a person, a soldier, yes, but also someone who brought his mother's recipes to space, someone who offered fruit to nervous aliens, someone who wanted to protect others. I can try, Yuna said. That is all I ask, Toy said. He stood up, picking up his tray. I need to get back to duty, but Yuna, if you want to know more about humans, you can just ask me. I promise to be honest. Better than database files. He walked away, back to the human table where his friends waited. Yuna watched him go. Then she looked down at her nutrient paste. It seemed even more gray and lifeless now. Hana appeared at her side, sliding into the seat Tay had just left. Her feathers were ruffled with anxiety. What did he want? Hana demanded. To share food, Yuna said. To talk. You should not trust him, Hana warned. But as Yuna looked across the mess hall at Tay laughing with his friends, she thought maybe trust was not about species. Maybe it was about individuals, about actions over reputation. Maybe fear was not the same as wisdom. And maybe, just maybe, she had more to learn about humans than any database could teach her. The alarm screamed through every corridor of the eternal dawn. Yuna dropped her tools and grabbed the nearest support rail. Red lights flashed. The emergency alert meant only one thing: combat stations. The ship was going into battle. All crew to battle stations, the ship's AI announced in multiple languages. Repeat, all crew to battle stations. Civilian transport under attack. Pirate raiders. We are responding to distress call. Yuna's 4 hands shook. She had never been in a real battle before. Training drills, yes, simulations, but never actual combat. She ran toward her assigned station in the engineering section, her legs moving faster than she thought possible. The corridors were chaos. Crew members rushing everywhere, soldiers in armor, technicians with emergency kits. The ship vibrated as the engines powered up to full speed. She passed the armory section. Through the open door, she saw them. The human soldiers. Yuna stopped. She knew she should not. She knew she should keep running to her station, but she could not help herself. She had to look. Tay was there, and 2 others she recognized from the mess hall. A shorter human male with quick movements and a female human with her hair tied back tightly. They were getting ready for war. The transformation was shocking. Gone were the friendly faces from the mess hall. These were warriors. They moved with deadly efficiency, checking weapons, sealing armor plates, loading magazines with ammunition. Minho, you take left flank, Tay said to the shorter male. His voice was calm, professional, like he was discussing dinner plans, not a battle where people might die. Suji, you are on rear guard. Watch our backs. Copy that, the female called Suji responded. She slammed a magazine into her rifle with a sharp click. What is the target profile? Pirates. Unknown species composition. Estimated 20 to 30 hostiles. They hit a civilian transport carrying families, mostly unarmed. Tay's jaw tightened as he said this. We get in, neutralize the threat, secure the civilians. Standard rescue op, Minho said. He was grinning. Actually grinning. Like this was exciting. Been a while since we saw real action. Stay sharp, Tay warned. Real action means real bullets. Check your seals. They moved like a machine, each person knowing their role. Suji inspected Minho's armor. Minho checked Tae's equipment. Tae verified both of their weapons, a cycle of trust and verification. Yuna's translator struggled with some of their words. Combat terminology it did not have in its database. But she understood the tone, the readiness, the casual way they discussed violence and strategy. This was what humans were bred for, what they were good at: fighting, killing, protecting through destruction. Suji noticed Yuna standing in the doorway. The human female's eyes locked onto her, hard eyes, soldier eyes. "Technician," Suji called out. "You should be at your station." Yes, sorry," Yuna stammered. Tae looked up from his equipment. His face softened slightly when he saw her. "Yuna, get to engineering. Stay in the safe zones. This is going to get rough." "You are going to fight them?" Yuna asked. The question was stupid. Obviously, they were going to fight. But her brain was having trouble processing what she was seeing. "That is the job," Tae said simply. He picked up his helmet. "Do not worry. We are trained for this. Just stay safe, okay?" The ship shuddered. Weapons fire. They were in range now. The battle had begun. "Go!" Minho shouted at Yuna. "Now!" Yuna ran. She fled down the corridor toward engineering, her hearts pounding in her chest. Behind her, she heard the human soldiers moving out, their heavy boots thundering on the deck plates. She reached engineering and joined the other technicians. They huddled near the main consoles, monitoring ship systems. Outside, she could hear explosions, distant but real. The ship rocked with each impact. "Shields holding," one technician reported. "Weapon systems active," another called out. Yuna watched her screen. Life support. Environmental controls. Her job was to keep the air flowing and the temperature stable. Simple. Routine. Safe. Except nothing felt safe anymore. The battle raged for 20 minutes. It felt like hours. The ship shook. Alarms blared. Reports came in over the communication system. Pirates repelled. Civilian transport secured. Boarding party deployed to clear remaining hostiles. Then everything went wrong. "Hull breach. Section 7, someone screamed over the comm. "Life support failing. Toxic gas leak." Yuna's screen lit up with red warnings. Section 7. That was near her position. Very near. "Environmental seals compromised," the AI announced. "Evacuate Section 7 immediately." Yuna looked at her fellow technicians. They were already moving, grabbing emergency masks and heading for the exits. She turned to follow them. The explosion hit. Not a weapons explosion. A system overload. The damaged life support unit blew out, sending a wave of force through the corridor. Yuna was thrown against the wall. Her toolkit went flying. The lights went out, replaced by dim emergency lighting. She tried to stand. Her left leg would not work right. Hurt, possibly broken. The corridor filled with smoke. No, not smoke. Gas. Green-tinted gas. Toxic. Her breathing mask was in her toolkit, which was somewhere in the corridor. She could not see it. Could not find it in the darkness. Yuna crawled forward, coughing. Her lungs burned. The temperature was rising. The environmental controls were gone. The corridor was becoming an oven filled with poison. She was going to die here. The thought came clearly, calmly. She was going to die in this corridor, alone, breathing toxic gas. Just another casualty of war. Another name in a report. Then she heard the footsteps. Heavy, running, human heavy in human gravity boots. "Yuna!" A voice shouted through the smoke and gas. Tae's voice. "Yuna! Where are you?" "Here," she tried to say, but her voice was weak. Her translator was damaged. The sound that came out was barely a whisper, but somehow he heard her, or sensed her, or saw her with whatever impossible death world senses humans had. Tae appeared through the smoke like a ghost. His armor was scorched. His helmet visor was cracked. Blood dripped from a cut on his arm. But he was moving, still fighting, still standing. He knelt beside her. His hands, so large and strong, touched her carefully, checking for injuries. "Got you," he said. "I got you." "Cannot breathe," Yuna gasped. "Toxic. For me." "I know." Tay pulled something from his belt, an emergency rebreather. He fitted it over her face quickly. Clean air flooded her lungs. "This will help. But we need to move. This section is coming apart." "Leg broken," Yuna said through the mask. "I know that too." Tay adjusted his grip. Then, with movements that seemed impossible for someone in armor and injured, he lifted her. He picked her up like she weighed nothing, cradled her against his chest plate. "Hold on," he said. Then he ran, through the toxic gas, through the heat, through the damaged corridor with its failing gravity and its collapsing ceiling. He ran, carrying her, his armor protecting them both from the worst of the environment. Yuna could feel his heartbeat through the armor, fast but steady, the heartbeat of a predator in full motion. He breathed hard, but he did not stop, did not slow down. A support beam fell. Tay twisted, taking the impact on his shoulder. His armor sparked. He grunted in pain, but kept moving. "Almost there," he said, more to himself than to her. "Almost there." They burst through a security door into a safe section. Clean air, normal temperature, stable gravity, medical personnel waiting with stretchers and equipment. Tay set Yuna down carefully on a stretcher. Medical staff swarmed around her, checking her vital signs and treating her injuries. "She has a broken leg," Tay told them, "and gas exposure. She needs—" "We know, Corporal," the lead medic interrupted. "We will take care of her. You need treatment, too." Only then did Yuna see how badly Tay was hurt. The cut on his arm was deep, still bleeding. His shoulder armor was cracked where the beam had hit him. Burns marked his uniform in several places. He swayed slightly, exhausted, but he was standing, still standing. Injuries that should have incapacitated him were just inconveniences. "Corporal Kim, your squad is waiting," another voice called. Suji appeared, also battered but upright. "Captain wants a debrief." "On my way," Tay said. He looked down at Yuna one more time. "You are safe now. They will fix you up." "You saved me," Yuna whispered. "That is the job," Tay said again. But this time he smiled. That same warm smile from their first meeting. "Get some rest, Yuna." Then he was gone, walking away with Suji, limping slightly but moving under his own power, back to his duty, back to his squad, back to being a soldier. The medics worked on Yuna's leg, setting the broken bone and applying regeneration treatments. They cleaned out her lungs and gave her medicine for the gas exposure. Through it all, she could not stop thinking about what she had witnessed. Tay had fought through a pirate attack. Then, while injured and exhausted, he had run into a toxic, collapsing corridor to save her, had carried her to safety through conditions that would have killed most species, had taken damage himself to protect her. The files had said humans were predators, apex killers from a death world, but they had not said humans were protectors, that they would endure pain and danger to save others, that they valued life so much they would risk their own without hesitation. Yuna looked at the medical staff around her. Different species, different worlds, all working together, all safe because human soldiers stood between them and danger. She finally understood. Humans were dangerous, but not to those they had chosen to protect. And somehow, without quite knowing when or how, she had become one of those people Tay had chosen to protect. Nothing would ever be the same after this. Yuna spent 3 days in medical recovery. Her leg healed slowly with regeneration treatments. The gas damage to her lungs was worse than the medics first thought. She needed extra time in the oxygen chamber. But she was alive. That was what mattered. On the 4th day, Everything changed again. She was cleared to return to light duty. She walked through the corridors with a support brace on her leg, heading toward the engineering bay. The ship was still in high alert status. Everyone was tense. The pirate attack had been repelled, but questions remained. How had the pirates known about that civilian transport? How had they gotten close enough to attack without early warning? Yuna entered the mess hall for mid-cycle meal. The moment she stepped inside, she felt it. Eyes on her. Not friendly eyes, suspicious eyes. Conversations stopped as she passed. People whispered, pointed. She tried to ignore it and got her nutrient paste from the dispenser. When she turned to find a seat, she realized why everyone was staring. The news feeds on the wall screens showed the headline, "Velocian technology found in pirate weapons. Investigation ongoing." Yuna's 4 hands trembled. Her people's technology, used by pirates, used to attack innocent civilians. She found an empty table in the corner and sat down. She could not eat. Her stomach felt sick. Around her, the whispers grew louder, not hiding anymore, accusing. "Makes sense a Velocian would be here," someone said from a nearby table. "A Lyrian security officer. Probably a spy, feeding information to the pirates. They should lock her up," another voice agreed. "Check her communications, see who she has been talking to." Yuna wanted to stand up, to defend herself, to explain that she had nothing to do with pirates or weapons. She was a simple maintenance technician. She sent money to her family on a refugee colony. She had never even been to the Velocian home worlds. But the words would not come. Her translator stayed silent. Fear kept her frozen. "Hey!" A loud voice cut through the whispers, human loud, angry. "You got something to say? Say it to her face, not behind her back." Tay stood in the middle of the mess hall. His hands were clenched into fists. His face was dark with anger. Beside him, Minho and Suji had also stood up from the human table. All 3 of them looked ready to fight. The Lyrian security officer who had spoken stood up. He was bigger than Tay, more muscular. His species was known for strength. "This does not concern you, human." "It concerns me when you insult my friend," Tay shot back. "Yuna had nothing to do with those pirates. She almost died in that attack. Or did you forget that?" "Velocian weapons," the Lyrian insisted. "Velocian technology. The evidence is clear." "The evidence is that someone stole technology and sold it to pirates," Tay corrected. His voice was hard, cold, the soldier voice Yuna had heard during the battle. "That does not make every Velocian guilty. That is prejudice, not logic." "You defend her because you are soft," the Lyrian sneered. "Humans and their feelings. You protect everyone, even traitors." Tay moved. Fast. Faster than Yuna had ever seen him move. One moment he was standing 5 meters away. The next he was nose to nose with the Lyrian, his hand gripping the other male's uniform. "Call her a traitor again," Tay said quietly. "See what happens." Minho and Suji were suddenly there too, flanking Tay. 3 human soldiers, smaller than the Lyrian and his friends, but somehow more dangerous. Predators showing teeth. The mess hall had gone completely silent. Everyone watched, waiting, wondering if violence would erupt. "Corporal Kim!" A sharp voice barked across the room. "Stand down, now!" Captain Yun Park entered the mess hall. He was older than Tay, probably in his 40s by human standards. His uniform was crisp and decorated with medals. His face was stern but controlled. Tay released the Lyrian and took a step back. "Yes, sir. My ready room. Now. You too, Corporal Kang. Specialist Minho." Captain Hyun's eyes swept the mess hall. "And Technician Yuna, all of you, immediately." They followed the captain out of the mess hall. Yuna limped behind the human soldiers, her support brace clicking with each step. She had never been called to the captain's ready room before. She did not know what would happen. Fear made her antennae droop. The captain's ready room was smaller than Yuna expected. A desk, a few chairs, and wall screens showing ship status. Captain Hyun gestured for them to sit. They did, though Tae looked like he wanted to keep standing. "Would someone like to explain what just happened?" Captain Hyun asked. His voice was calm but carried authority. "They were insulting Yuna, sir," Tae said, "calling her a traitor, making accusations without evidence." "I see." Captain Hyun looked at Yuna. His eyes were not harsh, just observing, measuring. "Technician Yuna, are you involved with the pirate group that attacked us?" "No, sir," Yuna said quickly. "I am not. I would never. I am just a technician. I work. I send money to my family. That is all." "Her family is on a refugee colony," Tae added. "She has no connection to any criminal organizations." "Let her speak, Corporal," Captain Hyun said, but not unkindly. He turned back to Yuna. "You understand why people are suspicious? Velocian weapons technology is rare, expensive. For pirates to have it means someone with inside knowledge provided it." "I understand, sir," Yuna said. "But it was not me. I work on environmental systems. I do not have access to weapons technology. I do not even understand how weapons work." Captain Hyun nodded slowly. He pulled up a file on his desk screen. "According to ship records, you have been exemplary. Good work performance. No disciplinary issues. No suspicious communications." He paused. "You also nearly died saving repair data during the attack. The engineering chief says you stayed at your post until the explosion hit. Is that correct?" "Yes, sir. I was trying to keep life support stable." "That is not the action of a traitor," Captain Hyun said. He closed the file and looked at all of them. "However, we do have a problem. Investigation shows that the pirate group has taken Velocian hostages. They are forcing Velocian engineers to maintain and modify stolen technology. This means there are innocent people being coerced into helping pirates." Yuna's heart sank. "Hostages? Yes, at least 3 confirmed, possibly more." Captain Hyun brought up images on the wall screen. 3 Velocian faces, 2 males, 1 female. "Do you recognize any of them?" Yuna looked at the faces. The first male was unfamiliar, the second too. But the female, her breath caught. "Jiwoo. That is my cousin Jiwoo." The room went silent. Tae leaned forward in his chair, his face concerned. Captain Hyun's expression softened slightly. "You are certain?" the captain asked. "Yes, we grew up together on the refugee colony. She went to school for engineering, advanced weapon systems. Last I heard, she was working on a commercial station near the frontier." Yuna's voice shook. "She would never help pirates willingly. Never. She must be a prisoner." Captain Hyun nodded. "That matches our intelligence. The pirates are holding hostages at their base, forcing them to work, which brings me to why I called you all here." He pulled up a new screen, a star map, a marked location in a remote sector. "We have located the pirate base," Captain Hyun said. "Command is authorizing a strike operation. We will infiltrate the base, extract the hostages, and neutralize the pirate threat. I am assembling a small team for this mission." He looked at Tae. "Corporal Kim, you and your squad are being assigned to the strike team. This is volunteer only. It will be extremely dangerous." "We volunteer, sir," Tae said immediately. Suji and Minho nodded without hesitation. "I expected that answer." Captain Hyun then looked at Yuna. "Technician Yuna, I am also offering you a position on this mission." Yuna stared at him. "Sir, I am not a soldier. I do not know how to fight." "You know Velocian systems," Captain Hyun explained. "The pirate base is built using stolen Velocian technology, security systems, door locks, power grids. We need someone who can bypass those systems quickly, someone who understands how they work." "But I have never—" Yuna started. "You would be in extreme danger," Captain Hyun continued. "I will not order you to do this. But I am offering you the choice. Your cousin is being held prisoner. This mission could free her. Yuna looked at the image of Jiwoo on the screen. Her cousin, who had always been smarter than Yuna, who had gotten the scholarship to advanced engineering school while Yuna had gone into basic maintenance. Jiwoo, who sent letters home talking about her dreams of designing ships that would carry their people to better colonies, better lives. Jiwoo, who was now a prisoner, being forced to help criminals, probably scared and alone. I want to help, Yuna said quietly. But I do not know if I can. I am not brave like human soldiers. Bravery is not the absence of fear, Captain Hyun said. It is acting despite fear. You stayed at your post during the battle when you could have run. You have more courage than you think. Tae spoke up. Sir, if Yuna comes, I will personally ensure her safety. We will train her. Basic combat, basic survival. She will be ready. That is a lot to ask, Corporal, Captain Hyun said. She is worth it, sir, Tae replied. He looked at Yuna. If you want to do this, we will help you. I promise. Yuna thought about Jiwoo, about her family on the refugee colony who depended on both of them, about the way Tai had run into toxic gas to save her, about the human soldiers who fought to protect others without asking for anything in return. She thought about the whispers in the mess hall, the accusations, the way everyone looked at her with suspicion now. Maybe this was how she could prove them wrong. Maybe this was how she could save someone she loved. Maybe this was how she could be brave. I will do it, Yuna said. Her voice shook, but the words were clear. I will go on the mission. I will help rescue my cousin and the others. Captain Hyun stood. Then it is decided. Corporal Kim, you have 5 days to train Technician Yuna in basic combat and survival. Use whatever resources you need. The mission launches at 0600 on day 6. Dismissed. They stood and filed out of the ready room. In the corridor outside, Tae turned to Yuna. Are you sure about this? He asked quietly. It is not too late to change your mind. Yuna looked up at him. This human soldier who had become her unexpected friend, who defended her honor, who promised to keep her safe. I am terrified, she admitted. But yes, I am sure. Jiwoo needs help, and I think I need to do this too. For myself. Tae smiled. Then we start training tomorrow. Early. Be ready to work hard. I will be ready, Yuna said. She hoped that was true. The training room was set to human standard gravity, 1 full G. The weight pulled at Yuna's limbs the moment she entered. It was like carrying heavy bags on all 4 of her arms. Even breathing felt harder. Tae stood in the center of the room wearing simple training clothes. Suji and Minho were there too, setting up equipment on the padded floor. They all looked up when Yuna entered. Good, Tae said. You are early. That is good. Shows you are serious. I am serious, Yuna confirmed, though inside her hearts were racing with nervousness. What do we do first? First, you learn to move in heavy gravity, Tae explained. He gestured around the room. Pirates use higher gravity in their bases to slow down attackers. You need to be able to function in 1G or higher, so we train here. It is very heavy, Yuna said. She took a few steps. Her legs shook with the effort. It gets easier, Minho called out. He was stretching, pulling his legs and arms in ways that looked painful. Your body adapts. Humans lived in this every day for millions of years. You can handle it for a few hours. Start with basics, Suji said. She walked over to Yuna. The human female moved easily in the heavy gravity, like it was nothing. How to fall without getting hurt. How to move quietly. How to defend yourself if someone grabs you. For the next 2 hours, they worked with Yuna, teaching her to roll when she fell instead of landing hard, showing her how to duck under obstacles, training her to move her body efficiently even under the crushing weight. It was the hardest thing Yuna had ever done. Her muscles screamed. Her breathing came in gasps. Sweat dripped from her carapace. But the human soldiers did not let her quit. They encouraged her, corrected her mistakes, showed her again and again until she started to get it right. "Better," Tay said after she successfully completed a roll across the mat. "Much better. Take a break. Drink water." Yuna collapsed on the floor, her whole body trembling. Minho brought her a container of water. She drank it gratefully. "Day 1 is always the worst," Minho said, sitting down beside her. "Day 2, your muscles hurt so bad you want to die. Day 3, you start to feel stronger. Day 4, you realize you can do things you could not do before." "What about Day 5? Yuna asked. Minho grinned. "Day 5, we teach you to fight." The training continued. Every day, Yuna arrived early and stayed late. Her body hurt in ways she did not know were possible, but slowly, gradually, she improved. On Day 2, Tay taught her about human weapons, not how to use them. She did not have the strength for that, but how they worked, how to identify them, how to know when someone was about to shoot. "Most pirates use projectile weapons," Tay explained, holding up an inactive training rifle. "They fire metal bullets at high speed, very loud, very deadly. If you see someone pointing this at you, you get behind cover immediately. Do not try to run. Do not try to fight. Just get something solid between you and the weapon." "What if there is no cover?" Yuna asked. "Then you make yourself small and hope," Tay said seriously. "But we will not let it get to that point. Your job is to stay behind us. We are your cover. Understood?" Understood. On Day 3, they focused on Velocian systems. Yuna sat with a portable terminal while Tai and Suji asked her questions about security panels, door locks, and power grids. "How long to bypass a standard security door?" Suji asked. 30 seconds if I have my tools," Yuna answered. "Maybe 1 minute without tools." "Too long," Suji said. "We need 15 seconds maximum. What can you do to go faster?" Yuna thought about it. "I can pre-program override codes. Load them into a portable device. Then it is just plug and activate." "Good thinking," Tay said. "Do that. Make 3 devices in case one fails." They worked through every scenario, every system Yuna might encounter. They made her practice in the dark, in the cold, in stressful situations with Minho shouting fake warnings to simulate combat pressure. By Day 4, Yuna could navigate the training course in human gravity without falling. She could identify weapons by sound. She could bypass a practice security panel in 18 seconds. She still could not fight, but she could move like a soldier, quick and quiet and aware. That evening, Suji sat with her in the mess hall. The other crew members still whispered when Yuna passed, but she tried to ignore them. She had more important things to focus on. "You have done well," Suji said. The human female's voice was softer than usual, less military. "I did not think you would make it past Day 1, but you proved me wrong." "I had good teachers," Yuna said. "No, you had determination." Suji took a bite of her food. "Can I tell you something? When I first joined Earth's military, they did not want me. Said I was too small, too weak. Female humans are smaller than males, lighter, less muscle mass. The recruiters said I would never be a real soldier." "But you are here," Yuna observed. "A corporal, like Tai." "Because I did not quit," Suji said. "I worked twice as hard as the males. I trained until my body broke, and then I healed and trained more. I learned to use my size as an advantage, faster, more flexible, better at fitting into tight spaces. Now I am one of the best soldiers in the unit." She looked at Yuna directly. "Being small does not make you weak. Being scared does not make you a coward. What matters is what you do despite those things. You understand?" "I think so," Yuna said. Good. Suji stood up. Day 5 tomorrow. We teach you to fight. Get some rest. Day 5 arrived too quickly. Yuna was sore everywhere, but she showed up to the training room on time, ready to learn whatever came next. Tay waited for her with a small knife. He held it carefully, the blade pointing down and away. Most species in the galaxy do not use bladed weapons anymore, Tay said. They think blades are primitive, old-fashioned, but humans never forgot how to fight with blades. And sometimes, when everything else fails, a knife can save your life. He walked over to Yuna and held out the knife. It was small, simple, just a handle and a sharp piece of metal, but it felt heavy in her hand. This is yours, Tay said. Keep it with you on the mission. If someone gets too close, if all the guns stop working, if everything goes wrong, you have this, one chance to protect yourself. I do not know how to use it, Yuna said nervously. I will teach you. Not to fight, just to survive. Tay demonstrated slowly. Hold it like this. Blade out. If someone grabs you, you push the knife toward them. Hard as you can. Aim for soft parts, throat, eyes, joints. Then you run. You do not stay and fight. You hurt them enough to escape and you run to us. Can you do that? Yuna practiced the motion. Thrust, twist, pull back. Thrust again, over and over, until her arm ached. Good enough, Tay finally said. Remember, the knife is last resort only. Your first defense is staying behind us. Your second defense is hiding. Your third defense is running. The knife is fourth. Only use it if you have absolutely no other choice. I will remember. They spent the rest of the day reviewing everything. The plan, the objectives, the escape routes, the communication signals, every detail of the mission. That night, the whole strike team gathered in the briefing room. 12 people total, 6 human soldiers including Tai, Suji, and Minho, 2 Gravian warriors who specialized in breaching, 1 Theric scout who could see in complete darkness, 2 Kalari technicians who would handle explosives, and Yuna. Captain Hyun stood at the front of the room with a holographic display of the pirate base. This is the target, he said, a former mining station in the Castor Belt. Pirates took it over 2 months ago, approximately 30 hostiles inside, unknown weapons and defenses, 3 confirmed Velocian hostages, possibly more. The hologram zoomed in on a section of the station. This is where we believe the hostages are being held. Engineering section, heavily secured. Our mission has 3 phases. Phase 1, infiltration. We approach in a small transport disguised as a supply ship. The scout team will disable their external sensors while we dock. The display changed to show interior corridors. Phase 2, insertion. We breach here at the maintenance airlock. Move quickly through these corridors to the engineering section. Yuna will bypass security as we go. Speed is critical. The moment they know we are there, they will try to kill the hostages. A new section highlighted in red. Phase 3, extraction. Once we have the hostages, we fight our way back to the transport. The Eternal Dawn will provide covering fire and destroy the base after we leave. Questions? One of the Gravian warriors raised a massive hand. What if the hostages are already dead? Then we confirm it. Gather evidence and extract, Captain Hyun said coldly. But intelligence suggests they are keeping the hostages alive to maintain their stolen technology. We proceed as if they are alive until proven otherwise. No one else had questions. Everyone knew their jobs. This was a rescue mission. But it was also a one-way trip if things went wrong. Captain Hyun dismissed the briefing. The team filed out slowly. Yuna stayed behind, staring at the hologram. The pirate base looked huge, complicated, dangerous. Second thoughts? Tay asked quietly. He had stayed too. Many thoughts, Yuna admitted. What if I am too slow? What if I cannot open the doors? What if I freeze up when the fighting starts? Then we adapt, Tay said simply. Plans never survive first contact with the enemy. Something always goes wrong. But we have trained you. We have prepared you. And when things go bad, because they will, we will be there. Suji, Minho, and me. We will not let anything happen to you. You cannot promise that. No, Tay agreed. I cannot. People die in combat, even soldiers, even humans. But I can promise I will do everything in my power to bring you home alive, you and your cousin and every hostage we find. That is what soldiers do. We protect people. That is our purpose. He reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. He pressed it into Yuna's hand. It was warm from being close to his body. She looked down. A small photograph, old-fashioned, printed on actual paper. It showed a family, human family, adults and children, smiling at the camera. My family, Tay said quietly. Parents, siblings, nieces, nephews. I carry this with me on every mission, to remember why I fight, not for glory or honor or medals. For them. For families like them who deserve to live in peace. He pointed at the hologram of the pirate base. Ji Woo is your family. Those other hostages are someone's family, too. Tomorrow, we go get them. We bring them home. And then families get to be whole again. Yuna looked at the photograph, then at Tay, then at the hologram. Fear still coiled in her stomach. But something else was there, too, now. Purpose. Determination. Tomorrow, she said. We go tomorrow. We go tomorrow, Tay confirmed. Get some rest. 0600 comes early. Yuna left the briefing room and returned to her quarters. She looked at the knife Tay had given her, at the override devices she had programmed, at her simple maintenance uniform that she would wear under light armor tomorrow. She was not a soldier. She was just a technician from a refugee colony. But tomorrow, she would walk into danger to save her cousin, and she would not be alone. 3 human soldiers had promised to protect her, had trained her, had given her the tools she needed to survive. She touched her communication device. Tomorrow, at 0600, everything would change. She could only hope she was ready. The transport ship was small and cramped. 12 bodies in armor filled the cargo hold, checking weapons and equipment one last time. Yuna sat between Suji and Minho, trying to control her breathing. Her light armor felt strange and heavy. The communication earpiece kept making small sounds that made her jump. 5 minutes to target, the pilot announced over the comm system. Tay moved through the hold, checking each team member. When he reached Yuna, he knelt down to her level. How are you feeling? He asked quietly. Terrified, Yuna answered honestly. My hearts will not stop racing. Good, Tay said. Fear keeps you alert. Use it. Let it make you sharp, not frozen. Remember your training. Stay behind us. Follow orders immediately. If I tell you to run, you run. If I tell you to hide, you hide. Understood? Understood. You have got this, Tay said. He squeezed her shoulder gently. We all believe in you. The transport shuddered as it made contact with the pirate station's docking port. Metal screeched against metal. The sound of magnetic clamps locking into place echoed through the hull. Docking complete, the pilot said. Sensors show station security is still inactive. They think we are their supply ship. You have a green light for breach. Good luck. The Theric scout moved to the airlock door. His infrared vision allowed him to see through the metal. 4 guards on the other side, armed, not expecting trouble. Take them quiet, Captain Hyun ordered. We do not want alarms yet. The airlock opened silently. The Therics moved like smoke, fast and invisible in the dim light of the pirate station. 4 soft sounds, 4 bodies hitting the floor. Then his voice on the comm. Clear, move in. The strike team flowed through the airlock in practiced formation. Tae, Suji, and Minho surrounded Yuna, keeping her in the center of their group. The pirate station was dark and smelled wrong, oil and sweat and something chemical that burned Yuna's antennae. They moved through corridors, following the map Captain Hyun had provided. Past storage rooms, past crew quarters. The station was quiet. Night cycle. Most of the pirates were asleep. They reached the first security door. Yuna's moment. She moved forward, pulling out her override device. Her 4 hands shook as she connected it to the control panel. 12 seconds, Suji whispered, timing her. The device beeped. Codes flashed across its small screen. The door lock clicked open. 11 seconds, Suji reported. Good time. They moved through. 3 more security doors. Each one Yuna opened faster than the last. The training was working. Her body remembered what to do even though her mind was screaming with fear. Then everything went wrong. An alarm shrieked through the station. Red lights flashed. Doors started slamming shut automatically. "We are detected," Minho shouted. "Someone woke up." "Breach team, get those doors," Captain Hyun ordered. The Gravian warriors moved forward with their heavy equipment. They attached charges to a sealed blast door, and everyone took cover. The explosion was deafening in the metal corridor. Smoke filled the air. "Go, go, go!" Tae yelled. They ran. Yuna's legs pumped hard, fighting the higher gravity. Behind them, she heard shouts, footsteps. Pirates responding to the alarm. Gunfire erupted. The sound was impossibly loud. Bullets sparked off the metal walls. Suji returned fire, her rifle barking in controlled bursts. 2 pirates went down. "Keep moving," Tae commanded. He was firing too, providing cover as the team advanced. "Do not stop!" More pirates appeared ahead. The Gravian warriors charged them like living tanks, their armored bodies absorbing hits that would kill other species. They crashed into the enemy line and the corridor became chaos. Close combat. Brutal and fast. Yuna tried to make herself small, tried to stay behind the human soldiers like Tai had taught her. But there were so many pirates. They seemed to come from everywhere. "Minho, left flank!" Suji shouted. Yuna saw him turn, saw the pirate coming from a side corridor. Saw the weapon coming up to fire. Minho saw it too and threw himself forward, putting his body between Yuna and the shooter. The gunfire hit him in the chest. His armor held, but the impact threw him backward. He crashed into Yuna, and they both went down hard. "Minho!" Tae's voice raw with fear and fury. But Minho was already moving, hurt but not dead. His armor had saved him, but the impact had broken ribs. Yuna could see the pain in his face, yet he was standing up, still holding his weapon. "I am good," Minho gasped. "Keep going." "You can barely breathe," Yuna said. She tried to help him stand. His weight was immense, even in the heavy gravity. "Then I breathe less," Minho said through gritted teeth. "Mission first. Move." They pushed forward. The team fought through 3 more corridors. The Kalari technicians used their explosives to destroy pirate defensive positions. The Theric scout found safe paths through the chaos. And the humans were relentless. Yuna watched them fight. Really watched them. It was nothing like training. This was real. Deadly. The human soldiers moved with absolute precision. They communicated with single words and hand signals. When one fired, the others advanced. When one needed to reload, the others covered. A perfect machine of violence. But it was not just violence. It was protection. Every movement was designed to keep the team safe, to keep her safe. They took hits meant for others. They put themselves in danger so the rest could survive. Finally, they reached the engineering section. 1 more door, heavy security, triple locked. "Yuna, can you open it?" Captain Hyun asked. "We do not have time for explosives." Yuna moved forward. This lock was more complex than the others. She pulled out all 3 of her override devices and connected them simultaneously, using her 4 hands to work the controls. Behind her, the team formed a defensive line. More pirates were coming. She could hear them, lots of them, angry and organized now. 30 seconds, Suji reported. She was firing at targets around the corner. We have got company, lots of company. 20 seconds, Yuna said, working desperately. The system is fighting me. It knows these are override codes. Work faster, Minho grunted. He was leaning against a wall, his weapon up, but his breathing labored. 10 seconds! Pirates appeared at the end of the corridor. A wave of them. The team's fire intensified. Yuna, we need that door! The lock clicked. Green light. The door opened with a hiss. Inside, now! Tay ordered. They poured through the door. The last one through was Captain Hyun, firing as he backed up. They sealed the door behind them, and Yuna fried the lock panel so pirates could not follow easily. The engineering section was huge, machinery everywhere, and in the center, a cage. Inside the cage, people, Velocian people. Jiwoo! Yuna screamed. Her cousin looked up. Jiwoo was thinner than Yuna remembered, dirty and exhausted, but alive. Her eyes widened when she saw Yuna. Yuna, what are you doing here? Rescuing you. Yuna ran to the cage. The lock was simpler than the doors. She had it open in seconds. Inside the cage were 5 Velocians, 3 that Captain Hyun had identified, and 2 more, a male and a very young female. Just a child. We have 5 hostages, Captain Hyun reported into his comm. Repeat, 5 hostages recovered, requesting immediate extraction. The response came back filled with static. Negative on immediate extraction. Station defenses are active. We need 10 minutes to clear a path. We do not have 10 minutes, Suji said. She was looking at the door they had just come through. It was starting to glow red. The pirates were cutting through. Find another exit, Tay ordered. He turned to the rescued Velocians. Can any of you fight? We are engineers, not soldiers, one of the males said. His name tag read Doyun. They took our tools. We have nothing. Then stay behind us. Tay looked around the room. There, service corridor. Yuna, check if it is clear. Yuna ran to the corridor entrance. It was small, tight. Exactly the kind of space she was good at navigating. It leads to the waste processing section. From there we can reach the outer hull. Waste processing? Minho laughed, then winced. Perfect. I always wanted to see pirate garbage. The door they had sealed finally gave way. It blew inward with a blast of fire. Pirates poured through, dozens of them. Go! Tay shouted. Everyone into the corridor. Gravian warriors, hold the line. Give us time. The 2 massive Gravian warriors roared and charged into the pirate wave. Their armored bodies were living walls, absorbing incredible amounts of damage. They were buying time with their lives. The strike team fled into the service corridor with the rescued hostages. It was a tight fit. Yuna led the way, her small size an advantage here. Behind her, she heard constant gunfire, shouting. Explosions. The corridor branched. Left or right? Yuna asked frantically. Left leads to processing, Jiwoo said. She was keeping up despite her weakness. Right leads to... I do not know. They never let us go right. Left, then, Captain Hyun decided. They took the left path. It opened into a large room filled with machinery and terrible smells. Waste processing indeed. But there were no pirates here. The room was empty. Exit? Tay demanded. There. The young Velocian child pointed with a shaking hand. An emergency airlock, red marked. For evacuations only. They ran for it. Behind them, pirates entered the waste processing room. More gunfire. The Theric scout went down with a scream. One of the Kalari technicians fell. They were losing people. Seal the airlock, Captain Hyun ordered once everyone who could was through. Blow it if you have to. The remaining Kalari technician placed his last charge on the door mechanism. Everyone back! The explosion sealed the corridor behind them. They were cut off from the pirates, but they were also cut off from their transport ship. "Where are we?" Suji asked. Yuna looked around. They were in an outer hull corridor. Through the windows, she could see stars, and in the distance, the eternal dawn. "We are on the wrong side of the station," she realized. "Our transport is docked on the other side. We cannot reach it from here." "Then we make a new plan," Tay said. He activated his comm. "Eternal Dawn, this is Strike Team Alpha. We have the hostages, but we are cut off. Need emergency extraction at coordinates." He read off their location. "Copy that, Strike Team. Deploying rescue shuttle. ETA 3 minutes. 3 minutes. They had to survive 3 minutes. The pirates were not done. They were cutting through the sealed door. Yuna could hear the torches, see the glow of superheated metal. "Defensive positions," Captain Hyun ordered. "Conserve ammunition. Make every shot count." They formed a line, 6 human soldiers, 1 Kalari technician, 1 Theric scout bleeding but standing, and Yuna, holding her little knife, standing with the rescued hostages. The door blew open. Pirates flooded through, and the final stand began. Tai, Suji, and Minho fought like the Death World predators everyone said they were. But they were not fighting to kill. They were fighting to protect. Every action was calculated to defend the hostages, to give them one more second, one more chance. Minho went down again. This time he did not get up immediately. Suji was hit in the leg, but kept firing. Captain Hyun took 3 hits to the chest armor that cracked the plates. The pirates kept coming. Too many. Way too many. And then Yuna understood. They were not going to make it. The shuttle would arrive too late. The humans would die defending them. All of them would die. Unless... She looked at the environmental controls on the wall. Waste processing environmental controls. She understood these systems. They were Velocian design, and they were connected to the room the pirates were pouring through. "Tay!" she shouted. "I can stop them. I can seal the waste processing room and vent it to space, but I need 10 seconds. "Do it!" Tay yelled back without hesitation. Yuna ran to the control panel. Her hands flew over the interface. Override code. "Emergency vent procedure. Confirm. Confirm again." A pirate saw what she was doing. He turned his weapon toward her. "No!" Minho threw himself in front of her one more time, taking the bullets that were meant for her. He fell, did not move. His blood was so red, so much of it. "Minho!" Suji screamed. But Yuna's hands did not stop. She finished the sequence, hit the final confirmation. The waste processing room sealed automatically. Then the outer hull doors opened. Explosive decompression. Every pirate still in that room was blown out into space. The ones in the corridor with the strike team suddenly had no reinforcements. "Shuttle arriving!" the comm announced. Through the window, Yuna saw it. A small rescue shuttle from the Eternal Dawn, coming in fast. The remaining pirates tried to run. Captain Hyun did not let them. His fury was cold and absolute. Within seconds, the corridor was clear. The shuttle docked. Medical personnel poured out. They grabbed Minho first, then the Therics, then the injured hostages. "Everyone on the shuttle!" Captain Hyun commanded. "Move! This station is set to blow in 2 minutes!" They loaded everyone. The rescued hostages, the wounded, the dead, everyone. As the shuttle undocked and pulled away, Yuna watched through the window. The pirate station grew smaller. Then, the Eternal Dawn fired. One massive weapons burst. The station exploded in a sphere of fire. It was over. The mission was over. Yuna sat on the floor of the shuttle, shaking. Jiwoo collapsed beside her, crying. Around them, human soldiers sat bleeding and exhausted. Minho was unconscious, but the medics were working on him frantically. Tay was staring at nothing, his face covered in blood and smoke. Suji held his hand tightly, her own tears leaving tracks down her dirty face. They had won. They had rescued the hostages, but the cost the terrible cost. Yuna understood now, understood what it meant to be a soldier, what it meant to fight, what it meant to protect others at any price. Nothing would ever be the same. The medical bay of the Eternal Dawn was crowded. Yuna sat on a bed while a medic treated the cuts on her arms and checked her vitals. Around her, the wounded from the mission received care. Some would recover quickly, others would take longer, and some... She looked across the bay at Minho's bed. He was still unconscious, wrapped in bandages and connected to machines. The medic said he would live. Broken ribs, internal bleeding, severe bruising. But he would live. Human biology, they said. Human resilience. He had taken bullets meant for her, twice. Once to protect her from a pirate attack, once to give her the seconds she needed to save everyone. "You should rest," the medic told Yuna. "Your body has been through extreme stress. The adrenaline is wearing off now. You will feel the pain soon." "I am fine," Yuna said, but her voice shook. "I need to see my cousin. Bed 17. She is stable, dehydrated and malnourished, but stable." Yuna slid off her bed carefully. Her legs felt weak. Everything hurt. But she walked across the medical bay to where Jiwoo lay, clean now and hooked up to nutrient infusion lines. "Yuna," Jiwoo whispered when she saw her. "You came for me. You actually came." "Of course I came." Yuna took her cousin's hand gently. "We are family. Family does not leave family behind." "But you are just a maintenance technician, not a soldier, not a fighter. How did you—" Jiwoo's voice trailed off as she looked at Yuna more carefully. At the cuts and bruises. At the blood on her uniform. At the change in her eyes. "I learned," Yuna said simply. "The humans taught me. They trained me. They protected me. The humans." Jiwoo looked around the medical bay. At the human soldiers being treated for their wounds. At Tai sitting beside Minho's bed with his head in his hands. At Suji having her leg wound cleaned. "They are not what I expected. The pirates used to talk about humans. Called them monsters. Said they were coming to kill us all. But these humans, they saved us." "They did. The child," Jiwoo said suddenly. "The young female they had with me. Nari. She is only 9 years old. The pirates took her to force her father to work for them. He was the one who died during the fight. She has no one now." Yuna looked across the bay. The young Velocian girl sat alone on a bed, staring at nothing. Shell-shocked, traumatized, orphaned. Before Yuna could say anything, she saw Suji stand up from her treatment. The human female limped across the bay on her bandaged leg. She approached little Nari slowly, carefully. Then she sat down beside the girl and started talking to her quietly. Yuna could not hear the words, but she saw Nari's expression change, saw the girl lean against Suji, saw Suji put an arm around her shoulders and hold her while she cried. "Monsters do not do that," Yuna said quietly. Over the next 3 days, the ship returned to Coalition space. The rescued hostages recovered. Reports were filed, investigations began, and slowly, life returned to something like normal, except nothing was normal anymore. On the 4th day, Captain Hyun called a ceremony in the main hangar bay. The entire crew assembled, hundreds of beings from dozens of species, all in their dress uniforms. Yuna stood in the front row with Jiwoo beside her. The other rescued hostages were there too, including Nari, who held tightly to Suji's hand. Captain Hyun stood at a podium. Behind him, the coalition flag hung on the wall. "We gather today to honor those who went into darkness to bring back light," Captain Hyun began. His voice echoed through the hangar. The rescue mission to the Castor Belt was successful. 5 hostages recovered, pirate base destroyed, but the cost was high. He read the names. The Gravian warriors who had died holding the line, the Theric scout who had bled out in the shuttle, the Kalari technician who had stayed behind to place the final explosive. For each name, a moment of silence. A bell rang, and the crew saluted. Then Captain Hyun spoke about the survivors. Today, we also recognize exceptional valor and courage. Technician Yuna, step forward. Yuna's 4 legs shook as she walked to the podium. The entire crew watched her. She could feel their eyes. Technician Yuna is not a soldier, Captain Hyun said. She is a maintenance technician. She fixes environmental systems. Her job is to keep the air flowing and the temperature stable. But when her family needed her, when innocent people were in danger, she volunteered for one of the most dangerous missions this ship has ever conducted. He held up a small medal, silver and blue. She trained in 5 days to do what takes soldiers months to learn. She bypassed security systems under fire. She saved the entire strike team by venting a room to space, using her technical knowledge in a moment of crisis. And she did all of this while terrified, while injured, while everyone told her she could not. Captain Hyun pinned the medal to Yuna's uniform. For exceptional valor in combat, for technical expertise under extreme conditions, for courage beyond expectation, the Coalition thanks you, Technician Yuna. The crew erupted in applause. Yuna stood there, overwhelmed. She had never expected this. She was just a technician. She had just done what needed to be done. But as she looked out at the crew, she saw something different in their eyes now. Not suspicion, not fear, respect, acceptance. Several more medals were awarded. Tae, Suji, and Minho all received commendations for valor. Captain Hyun himself was honored for leadership under fire. Then at the end, Captain Hyun made one more announcement. Technician Yuna has submitted a formal request for transfer to the Tactical Systems Division, he said. Her request is approved. She will begin training next month to become a tactical specialist. We are pleased to welcome her to the combat support team. More applause. Tae was grinning at her from his place in the formation. Suji gave her a subtle nod. Even Minho, still bandaged and moving slowly, managed a smile. After the ceremony, the crew dispersed. Yuna found herself surrounded by people wanting to congratulate her, species she had never spoken to before. People who had whispered about her just weeks ago now wanted to shake her hands and share her accomplishment. Hana appeared in the crowd. Her friend looked ashamed. Yuna, I need to apologize. I told you to stay away from humans. I said they were dangerous. I was wrong. They are dangerous, Yuna said gently. You were not wrong about that. But dangerous and evil are not the same thing. They use their danger to protect others. That makes all the difference. Later, Yuna went to visit Minho in his recovery room. He was sitting up now, eating human food and complaining about the medical restrictions. They say I cannot do heavy exercise for 6 weeks, Minho grumbled. 6 weeks? I will lose all my strength. You took bullets for me, Yuna said quietly. Twice. Of course I did. Minho looked at her like she had said something obvious. You are part of the squad. We protect the squad. That is how it works. I am not a soldier. You are now. Minho reached over and tapped her new medal. This says you are. And more than that, you think like us. When everyone else was panicking, you found a solution. You saved us. That is what soldiers do. We find ways to win even when it looks impossible. I was terrified the entire time. So were we, Minho admitted. Every single one of us. Fear does not go away. You just learn to act despite it. That is the secret. That is what makes someone brave. Yuna left Minho's room and found Tai in the training area. He was not exercising. His injuries prevented that. He was just sitting, staring at the weights and equipment. Hey, Yuna said softly. Hey. Tae looked up. How are you feeling? Strange. Everything feels different now. It does change you, Tae agreed. Combat. The first time you face death and survive, it changes how you see everything. The colors seem brighter. The air tastes sweeter. Small problems do not bother you anymore because you know what real problems look like. He stood up slowly, favoring his bruised ribs. "I wanted to thank you for what you did on the station, the environmental vent. That was brilliant. You saved all of us." "You saved me first," Yuna reminded him. "Many times. In the corridor with the toxic gas. During the training. During the mission. That is what friends do." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Yuna asked the question that had been bothering her. "Do you ever regret it? Becoming a soldier? Choosing this life?" Tay thought about it carefully. "Sometimes. When someone dies. When I see what violence does to people. When I wake up from nightmares about things I have seen. But then I think about the families we saved. About Jiwoo and the other hostages. About little Nari, who still has a chance at life because we fought for her. And I know I made the right choice." He looked at Yuna directly. "You made the right choice too. Coming on that mission. Training as hard as you did. Pushing through your fear. You discovered something about yourself that you did not know was there. Strength, courage, the willingness to fight for others. Those things were always inside you. You just needed a reason to find them." "I am not sure I could do it again," Yuna admitted. "You will not have to," Tay said. "Not like that. Tactical specialists rarely go on combat missions. You will be designing security systems, teaching others about Velocian technology, making the ship safer. But if you are ever needed again, if another emergency happens..." He smiled. "Well, now we know you can handle it." Over the following weeks, Yuna settled into her new role. She moved to different quarters, closer to the tactical division. She began her training, learning about defensive systems and security protocols. It was different from maintenance work, but familiar enough. She was still solving technical problems. Just different kinds of problems now. Jiwoo recovered and accepted a position in the engineering department. The rescued hostages all found places on the ship or transferred to safer assignments. Little Nari was adopted by a Velocian family in Coalition space, but she stayed in contact with Suji through video messages. The ship continued its patrol. More missions, more encounters. Life in the Coalition fleet never stopped. One evening, Yuna finished her shift and decided to take a walk through the ship. She found herself in the crew quarters section, near where this had all started. She stopped at door 347D. The door was open. Unusual. She looked inside. Tay's quarters were different now, still set to high gravity and warm temperature. But several crew members were inside. Hana was there, carefully trying human food from small containers. Doyun, one of the rescued engineers, was looking at human music files with interest. Even one of the Gravian warriors from another squad had squeezed into the room, laughing at something Minho was saying. "Yuna!" Tay called out when he saw her. "Come in. We are having cultural exchange night. I am teaching everyone about Korean food, and they are teaching me about their cultures." Yuna stepped inside. The heat hit her, but it was bearable now. She had spent enough time in human gravity training that her body had adapted somewhat. "Here," Suji said, handing her a small container. "Try this. It is called bulgogi, beef marinated in sweet sauce. Very mild. I promise it will not hurt you." Yuna took a cautious bite. The flavors were complex, sweet and savory and just a little spicy. Good. Really good. She looked around the room. Different species sitting together, sharing food, sharing stories, laughing. Connected not by their biology or their home worlds, but by their experiences, by their service, by their friendships. "What are you smiling about?" Tay asked. "I was just thinking," Yuna said. "That day when I accidentally entered your room, I was so scared. I thought you were a monster from a death world. I thought humans were something to fear." "And now," Tay prompted. "Now I know you are just people," Yuna said. "Strong people, brave people, people who will run into fire to save others. People who share their food and their music and their friendship with anyone willing to give them a chance. She looked at the open door. You keep your door open now. No reason to keep it closed, Tay said simply. I am not hiding who I am anymore, and neither should anyone else. We are stronger together than we ever could be apart. That is what this ship teaches us. That is what the coalition is supposed to be. Yuna sat down among the group. She tried more human food. She listened to Do-Yun explain Velocian music theory. She watched Minho attempt to dance like a Lyrian and fail hilariously. She laughed until her sides hurt. Later, as she walked back to her own quarters, she thought about everything that had changed. Weeks ago, she had been a simple maintenance technician, scared of humans, scared of combat, scared of being noticed. Now she wore a medal for valor. She was training to be a tactical specialist. She had friends from different worlds. She had faced death and survived. She had learned that fear did not have to control her, that courage was not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. She had accidentally entered the human soldier's room expecting to find a predator. She had found a protector instead. And in learning to see humans clearly, in pushing past her own fears and prejudices, she had discovered her own strength. She thought about little Nari, starting a new life with a loving family, about Jiwoo, safe and building a career, about all the hostages who had been given a second chance, about Minho, recovering and already planning his return to duty, about Tai and his open door, welcoming anyone who wanted to learn and connect. Nothing was the same after that night she had stumbled into room 347D. Her life had been forever altered by that one mistake, that one moment of fear that had transformed into something else entirely. Understanding, friendship, purpose, and she would not want it any other way. Yuna reached her quarters and stopped at her door. She thought for a moment, then made a decision. She programmed her door to stay open during social hours, just like Tai's, just like Suji's and Minho's. An open door was an invitation, a symbol. It said, I am not hiding. I am not afraid. I am here, and I am willing to connect with others. She entered her quarters and looked at the medal hanging on her wall, at the knife Tay had given her, mounted in a place of honor, at the photograph of her training group, all of them smiling despite their exhaustion. Tomorrow, she would wake up and continue her training. She would learn new skills. She would become better at protecting this ship and this crew. She would grow stronger, faster, more capable. But tonight, she was just Yuna. A Velocian technician from a refugee colony who had learned that humans were not monsters, who had learned that courage came in all forms, who had learned that family was not just blood, but the people who would run into fire for you, who had learned that sometimes the best things in life came from accidents, from mistakes, from moments of fear that transformed into moments of connection. She had accidentally entered the human soldier's room, and nothing was the same after that. And for that, she was grateful.